Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Hope you're doing well today. Good morning to you. At least good morning from where I'm at. Hope you're doing well. I logged in this morning at 5 in the morning to get my guild brawl battles in. That's 4 hours ago. To get my guild brawl battles in, to get rank grind. You know, I'm pushing, I'm playing. And renting cards too. I have about another 5 hours left on some amazing wild card rentals, like about 2,000 DC worth, which is a lot. You get for 2,000 DC, if you rent them at the right time, you get some amazing cards. And it's got me thinking I might want to just buy myself a wild pass and go ahead and fight without a bot, just fight to ascend and get some league rewards. I actually wonder if it might pay off. Like I'm playing so much right now. Like I'm loving, and then I turn on to go live and I see this. I'm loving the game. I want to play. I'm desperate for more, and I get this, and I go no. But that's okay. We can hang out. We can talk Splinterlands. We can talk crypto bull run, which is crazy. Bitcoin's been raging. Look at the last 7 days. Look at this. This is a ridiculous chart. If this chart that I'm showing you was a 5-year chart, that would be crazy. But in fact, it's a 7-day chart where we were 69,000 on November 5th, and we've touched not just shy of 90. And this is look at that. That candle says 88,961, and this is according to Live Coin Watch. I don't know where Live Coin Watch collects its data from. Different markets will say a slightly different higher or lower all-time high, but that's crazy. And the altcoins, I've been saying for so long, like I'm not looking for an altcoin market where we see 2 or 3% on your favorite altcoin. It's like where you consistently see altcoins getting big candles. Doge has been pumping hard from I think 15 cents to 36. Look at this graphic, just like a straight up parabolic happening. And people are saying Doge could make it to $1. I'm not. That's not advice. I don't hold any Doge. I'm just saying the altcoins are moving. XRP finally looking alive. And there is some red here today, but man, there hasn't for the last few days. Well, if we look at generally at the weekly chart, everything has that hockey stick look to it. Everything except for this, and that's a stable coin. So yeah, this is it, man. I think I'm hoping I'm finally for the first time in years, it feels like this is actually it. Versus even going back to 2021, there were several coins, yes, but it wasn't every coin that was really raging. And so I don't know. We'll see. But this is fun to watch regardless. I hope you guys have your bags packed. I hope this starts to feel like it's for us. It's not just something that's happening, for instance, to Bitcoin. SPS pushing for a penny. How about that? This token was 0.4 of a penny. I want to say 60 days ago. We can determine that right now, but let's go back 90 days. 90 days ago, we were 5.5 parts of a penny. Okay, so it's more than 90 days ago. On the 12-month window, going back to August, we were 0.4 of a penny. August till November. How's that for some gain? And practically no volume. If you look at this, if you look at the black on the screen, there's practically we are still so small, even as we approach a double, almost a tripling of that, right? 0.4 of a penny going close to 1.2 would be a triple, and yet we're just so small. The market cap is so puny, and that's amazing because that's where crazy multipliers can be made possible. Market cap 960,000. That's crazy. Okay, so hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming to hang out. Birds, bees, and trees. Good to see you, pal. Oh, I can see my feature comment is not on. Bear with me. Boom. There we go. Appreciate you, pal. Thanks for coming to hang out. I hope you're enjoying this crypto craziness. Bitcoin was 70,000. The 7-day chart on Bitcoin, this is ludicrous. And yet You know what? This is something I want to say that I think we need to remember when we watch these candles and we watch moments like this. We look at tokens like Bitcoin and we see that 7-day chart was crazy. I said if it was a 5-year chart, you would be impressed with it. We went from 70 to 90. That's a huge improvement. But at the same time, you have to remember too that if your token was 70 cents and went to 90 cents, that's the same gain, right? Depending on how many units you have, right? It's all about the number of units you have. It's not just about, that's a big gain. I think it's 15% or 20%, 25-ish, something like that, which is awesome, crazy. But we all know that some altcoins go way more than that. And if we are in fact moving into an altcoin season, that's the exciting piece, right? It's like not 10%, 5%. Those are cool, interesting, sure, thank you. But we're not here in altcoins for 10 or 20%. Look at this 90-day. This is where things start getting interesting. But even that, at a zero, that's where the life-changing opportunity comes from within the altcoin market. Even Ethereum's been going crazy from 2,600-ish to 33. That's awesome. Unless you were here years ago buying ETH for 100 or 200, those moves aren't changing you in any substantial way. Maybe you take a little off the top and you go and reallocate and you have some fun with it. That's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't hold ETH or Bitcoin. I love them and I want them. But obviously the fun is not there today. Again, I don't have a single Doge and I do not believe in Doge in terms of its utility at all. But on the year, it's up 400%. That is nuts. And even on the 90-day, what are we? We were right over here. October 15th, it was 11 cents. October 15th, like not even a month ago, from 11 to 36. And so like the altcoins, they're just so crazy. The multipliers that are possible there. And at least last week, we started seeing diversification across the marketplaces, like away from the Dow and some of the major indices into the smaller market caps at the Russell. Looks like it's down a little today, but 1.3%. How's the Dow doing? Oh, not the Dow. Dow Jones. Dow Jones is down 0.5% today. S&P 500 down a fraction. So everything's down a little. What about gold and silver? Gold. You guys know I'm a bullion bug, like gold and silver. Gold crushed into new all highs, but like when crypto is flying and the stock market's doing well, this is going to pull back. And I think decisively this has pulled back ever since Bitcoin exploded, which is coinciding with the election. And so I'm still a big fan of gold and silver. I have a big bag of that stuff. That's a long-term play. And frankly, it's not about, for me, bullion is not about making me rich. It's about carrying my value. If that number goes up, but inflation makes houses worth not 1 million, but 2 million or 5, then I'm just keeping up. This is a hedge against inflation. Whereas something like Splinterlands, which is my biggest crypto holding, is a speculative investment based on the possibility of a altcoin bull market causing a token like that and a game like that to grab and catch fire. How crazy would it be? How excited would you be to see I just showed one example, Dogecoin, which is like, it's not a strong coin. It has no fundamental sort of strength. It has an amazing community of people who love the meme. Even Elon Musk kind of, championing it with his, what does he call it? The Department of Government Efficiency. And so clearly that matters. And that's part of that story for sure. But the thing I want to draw away from that is that if a coin like that can go, a coin like SPS can go. And how excited would you be to see a 400% increase, to move from, in the last 30 days I showed you on Doge, to put that green candle on SPS to go from 1 penny to 4 pennies in the next 30 days. That would be radically transforming probably the financial access you have within Splinterlands. You could liquidate some SPS. That would probably drive flat DEC to cap up to that peg value. And then you're getting burn mechanisms happening and flywheel and not to mention just the good vibes and sentiment, and then the multipliers that are happening on rank rewards, right? Because 1 cent SPS is interesting when you're a champ in modern. You're getting 40 SPS, great. You're getting 40 cents a win, but 4 cents per SPS, you're now getting $1.60 per win in champ in modern. And that's gonna drive X content. That's gonna drive YouTube content. That's gonna drive excitement. That's gonna drive. So, do I have reason to believe this is going to happen in the next 30 days? I'm not suggesting that I know that. I'm just saying I think we're at that moment in the altcoin season, or the broadening of the marketplace, where people have seen most of the green from Bitcoin. I'm seeing a number of videos from a number of content creators being like, hey guys, we love Bitcoin, but take profits, recognize that where we were, and many people won't. That the thing, moments like this are the moments where people pile in, even though probably most of gains are behind you. Like if we go across all from the last peak we had in 2021, we're riding that 4 year, like we're literally 3 years, right? The cycle, like clearly we were down in here, and this was the time to be buying in the 16,000. If you're buying today at 90,000 or just shy of, are you hoping for not, $1 million? Probably, right? That's where people's brains go. It's like the candles have been green and they're going to keep being green. And yet clearly where 16,000 would have been a time where it's like, no, Bitcoin is dead. It's not going to go up again. We didn't really see the same, it didn't work exactly the same as it did in the prior. Plus now the SEC is attacking, and remember the narratives of 2021. And so in that moment, the 16,000 in 2022, 2023 was like the buy. And that's where the multipliers were available. And sure, you should DCA if you believe in Bitcoin like I do. DCAing is great. Even at 90,000, buying a little now is not a terrible thing, because I believe across a long time horizon that it will thrive and bigger numbers are possible. And probably $1 million is literally a feasible suggestion. But just in this moment, my gamble, if it's just not Bitcoin. You're not going to see 100x on Bitcoin. Sorry, you're not going to see 100% gain on Bitcoin faster than you're going to see 100% gain on XRP, TRX, even Hive. And some people feel like Hive is like a non-functional blockchain. And Splinter, you hear people in our ecosystem talk about, let's move out of Hive. First of all, that's not going to happen. Second of all, even tokens like Hive can and should blow up in a space where people have made massive gains on main tokens like Bitcoin and ETH, and they start to then reach a certain peak where they go, let's double down on those investments, taking profits and reinvesting in lower cap coins. And that's, I think, what we're already seeing, and my hope is that that's going to be trickling down into even the smaller cap coins like SPS. But time will tell. The next 90 days will tell a lot, I bet. What are you guys up to? Who's out there? Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to look through X in a minute. So I want to keep that up. And then I want to go check out the comments. Oops. There it is. Okay. Gathering, good to see you, buddy. What's the update today? There's several things going on for me. Maybe the long and short of it is, it's a beautiful sunny day. There's been laughter and tears in my house already, and the day is young. It's one of those. The laughter and tears, and the day is young. There will be a pullback in Bitcoin. Don't get too greedy, guys. I agree with that. And some people would say, no, let's just push, right? Some people would say double down, and some people would say like hold, buy now. It's going to go to 200,000, or I bet if you go to X and look at just some of the, if we just Actually, let's do this. Let's go to X. There's a lot of crypto, degens on here. Let's see. Let's just search Bitcoin. I'm just gonna look at the top 5 posts, and we're gonna see if their sentiment is negative or positive. I bet 4 out of 5 of them. No, I bet all 5 of the top 5 posts are positive. Let's see. Okay, 1 hour ago. I don't know this person. 250 views. Too small. Let's read it, but it's like a small voice. Let's see. Breaking yesterday marked the biggest daily gain for Bitcoin on record. Bitcoin has surged from a massive 8,000 in a single day. Yep. Largest Bitcoin. So optimistic, right? Positive, like, wow, I can't believe it. It's happening kind of comment. Number 2. Again, content creator, I don't know, slightly larger audience or viewership. We will see 87,000 Bitcoin today, and that's still hashtag FUD. 100K or nothing. So believing there's at least another, I think it's a 15%. He's calling for another 15,000 gain, or $13,000 gain, which is like, I think a 15% ish gain. Number 2 is bullish. Number 3, today, November 11th, was the biggest daily gain in Bitcoin history. There you go, another bullish one. Number 4, I'm 27,000 views. I'm a single guy with no kids when I'm gone. Just like Satoshi left 1 million Bitcoin to the world, I'll leave everything I've got to civilization. That's cool. Michael Saylor, obviously one of the biggest, maybe the biggest Bitcoin proponent in the world, at least among them. And so featuring him, definitely bullish. And number 5, 9,000 views. How just owning 0.01 Bitcoin can make you a Bitcoin millionaire. So that's where we're at. And if we look at the top creators, if I was to look at some of the most viewed comments, this one's got 6,000 likes. When your friend asks you for the 69th time, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin? Or do you think it'll go lower? This is where we're at, guys. The issue isn't that I don't believe in Bitcoin, and I don't think Gathering's point is that either. It's just like when you see significant gains across a week, 2 weeks, just think about that. And if you're Bitcoin, if you're acquiring Bitcoin today to hold for 20 years, then ignore the price, sure. But many people, maybe even most people, don't do that. Probably most people should do that. And I think one day most people will do that. But today, people buy Bitcoin because they think the candle will be green today and red, and they don't even, and green tomorrow. They're not thinking 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20. They're thinking today, here's the scary piece. And this applies to Splinterlands too. If you come here expecting a green candle or a multiplier on your investment across the short-term time horizon, you will have a weaker capacity to hold those tokens if you're wrong. So if you expect a green candle for 30 days and you end up getting red candles, you can be shaken from that position. But if you come to a position of investment, whether it's in Splinterlands or in Bitcoin, and you say to yourself, I'm happy to hold this for 20 years, that will radically transform the confidence that you can and are walking in and how you carry it. So you will hold it during red candles. So that's what I did through the last bear market with Splinterlands. That's what Gathering did, and many of you who are going to be watching this, you guys held on to tokens that were depreciating or lower and going lower in paper value, book value, because 1, you had joy with it, and 2, you believed in the future of it. So you weren't expecting SPS to go to 0. You were trying to get more of it while it was falling in price. Even now, as it's gone up, you say to yourself, well, it could go down tomorrow, but I'm still okay even if it does. That's most of your postures, and that's not most of the world's posture. With SPS, with Bitcoin, with real estate, with anything you can buy that you want to see it go up, you have to have that posture of, it may go down, and even if it does, I still believe in it. My confidence is not based upon the short. My confidence is not based on the short-term time horizon. It's on the intrinsic value as I see it. And from that perspective, you are going to be able to hold in the middle of every challenge. And that's how you're actually going to survive bear markets. And that's how you're going to be able to be here, bags packed when moon missions happen. People who come, who don't have that posture, wait for Bitcoin to be not at, like they're buying now. This is why I bet Google Trends on Bitcoin too. Google Trends. Let's see. I bet buy Bitcoin is like a crazy search right now. It's up. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. November 12th. November 12th, there's a that's like how, if you guys don't understand how this works, this is all relative. So on November 12th, this was so dramatically higher than ever that it shrinks everything on the window here down to nothing. Okay, so that's just over one day though. I see. We need to look at a bigger horizon. Let's go across. Let's go as far back as we can go. Okay, so this is interesting actually. To say the buy Bitcoin search was highest of all in 2017, maybe that is, when Bitcoin was making it toward 20,000. And that's probably 2021. And so right now we're actually not in some sort of new breakout high. But I wonder if that's, now there's all kinds of space to have conjecture over that. You could say this is indication that there's a lot more people who will race in. Yeah, it could be. That's one conclusion you could draw from this. And I'm not opposed to saying that that's possible. Bitcoin going way higher is possible in my mind. But again, I would never tell anybody, and everybody who ever talks to me about crypto, I always say something like this, like, don't buy today because you think it's going to go up tomorrow. Just, do you believe in it? Then get some, and just get more and get more and get more. And that's what I've done with Splinterlands. But yeah, this is interesting how it's not kind of shooting to the moon. I wonder if that could reflect two things in my opinion. The first is that there's way more people yet to come. They haven't even begun searching yet. That's bullish case number one. But bearish cases, or interpreting this data in a less favorable way, would be people who want to know about Bitcoin already understand how to buy Bitcoin. So the search term is just inadequate because most of the world either knows or they know someone who knows. And so they don't need to Google, how do I buy Bitcoin? I wonder if we search something like, what's an altcoin? I bet that blew up in 2016 too. What is an altcoin? Let's see. Okay. So yeah, in 2017, there was one big line. I'm just going to search altcoin, make it more simple. Okay, we see a similar trend. The 2017 race, what, like altcoin, what is, like, help me, the people wanted to understand it. This is when Ethereum was going from this is when XRP went from 20 cents to $4. And every other altcoin too, as well, by the way. And then again in 2021, people want to figure out, and again, it's lower right now than it's ever been, and yet we are seeing a hockey stick up. That's interesting. I'm not sure which of those two I believe is happening. Option one, this indicates more people are going to come. The data will spike even more as more people come searching altcoin. Or maybe the term is broken because people already understood what it was from 2017 or 2021. Regardless, I don't buy things because I think they're going to go green tomorrow. I buy them because I believe in them long term. And I think that's the best wisdom anybody could follow in terms of when they're assessing their own investments. Down for maintenance, that's too bad. Eli, good to see you. Thanks for coming by, bud. Sell the green, buy the red. Yeah, man. It's a healthy approach, for sure. Oops. I have two comments here that I went through before we went live that I'm happy to get into. And I'm just going to pick something up off the ground. Give me a sec. Okay. How's my volume? We're a little low, aren't we? Can you guys hear me clearly? I feel like the music's probably a little too loud. And I feel like I'm a little too low. Hello. Okay, I guess. My OBS mixer is suggesting that I'm quite low, but I'm right into the mic, so hopefully you can hear me clearly. Okay, so I have two comments that I want to get into, and I'm happy to talk about whatever you guys are interested in today. Sound is good. Thanks, Gathering. Appreciate you. Yeah, let me know if there's anything that is on your mind, but I'm going to start with two separate comments, and we'll just check in after each and see if there's anything else coming up. Okay. The first comment I grabbed was actually around land, and we will talk about it. Before I do that, though, I thought this was really like a bit of a spicy one. I saw a comment from Ghostly BG. Let's see if I can pull it up on the screen for you. Where'd you go? There he is. Okay. So Ghostly BG three days ago dropped a comment on an FAQ video that I did, and I was talking about Haloi's the Hollow and its value, and one of the things I think I touched on was how some of the people who have it aren't necessarily using it, at least not very often. And Ghostly has some spice to say about that. So I'm not entirely sure I disagree with him, by the way. Let's listen to this. Okay, so he says, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the fact that Housewife or their scholar have barely played the card is a bit fishy. I'm not sure what MB means. Maybe their algo for what's best to play with Haloi's has not been updated yet. And my experience with the card tells me that this is like Venka at release, and it's that spammable. Yeah, so I mean, and then Ivan jumps into, yeah, even in this random example, it's soloed 4 strong cards and still alive. Yeah, I don't remember the actual sample of that I showed in that video. Clearly it's powerful. Yes, totally. I've seen it fail though, and I don't see people talking about that actually either. So I want to say, first off, it's awesome. It's powerful. I do think it's beatable. I do think there's ways that people can counter it. I do think it's actually kind of simple with some respect. Like, for instance, blind or dodge or flight can all be a problem for it because it doesn't have a true strike. And so if it doesn't hit its shot, then it doesn't do its damage. That's one piece. Another piece is that armor, repair, shield, anything that's going to reduce that big 8 bomb and allow that to be problematic. Also, thorns on your characters, because he's going to come bring melee damage, she's going to bring melee damage, and then she's going to hurt herself. So that is a bit of how I've seen it be responded to, and I've watched 10 Haloi's the Hollow matches, and it clearly has a winning record. Like I don't have enough data on it. I don't have I wish I actually had 3 examples stored up, and I was gonna do a video on this and show you guys what I'm seeing and how I'm seeing it being used and how I'm seeing it work and not work. And that I probably will do that. I think I almost should do that. But today, with it being down or updated or whatever, down for maintenance, we can't. I'll just say it's obvious. It's awesome. It's all. You might use the word overpowered. I do think it has counters. I do think it's imperfect. I do think it doesn't. I know, in fact, it doesn't work in every circumstance. And so sometimes we say that phrase overpowered for any certain card or any certain thing, and you go, well, what do you mean by that? It's really good. It wins 60% of the time. Maybe it wins 70% of the time. I don't actually know. It'll be cool to see some of the data and actually, you guys should follow. You should either use Splinter Coach. I don't have it. Oh, there it is. You should either. I got to renew. you should either use Splinter Coach, or you should at least go to X and follow Geeked Out Basketball, and you will learn a lot about the stats within Splinterlands. And I wonder if he's featured it. This was really telling to me. Tofu playing, he's got 150 matches on Tofu, over 700. That's a crazy record. Now, I think this is like Byzantine Kitty heyday stuff. Like in the top of the top when Kitty was like the king, this is that good. And so some of the best cards do that. Many of the best cards win at like a 6 out of 10 matches, a 60%. Things like Dr. Blight or even Night Stalker. Some amazing cards. Like 60% win rate is amazing. And so my point is, the best of the best cards don't win 100% of the games that they play. Everything works in certain situations and not in others. And so you should follow Geeked Out Basketball because you'll see a lot more stuff like that from him on here, featuring a lot of different cards and showing some really cool maybe combinations or considerations. But look at this. He's on October 28th. He was featuring Mantaroth and Grimbard Smith. This is another piece of my point that I was trying to feature in a video recently while talking about Heloise the Hollow. If we understand that there are cards in this game that are amazing and they're disproportionately better than others. They win in more situations and circumstances. You can say one thing, or you can draw two conclusions from it. One, that's an example of power creep and it breaks the game. Or two, there is a card for every circumstance and I can't afford everything. Right? Those are two approaches to the same conversation. Many people say things like the best cards break the game. The power creep is ruining this thing. I'm feeling more and more frustrated. I don't want to play as much because I can't beat that. And it's this negative sentiment that comes because you don't have and you can't get. And the reality of Splinterlands is that you don't have and you can't get. Like I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Gold Matters, who's like, or, I've been playing some of my Guild Brawl battles. I wish I could feature that, like open it up right now. But some of these people have 100 million. Actually, I was looking at Housewife's account. Housewife has, I think it's 99 million collection power. Like that is so insane. The amount of assets that they own in this game. And yet they don't have every card. I know they don't. I actually haven't checked, but there got to be gaps. And let's say even if they do have everything, there's such a minority of individuals in this small ecosystem that are ever going to do that. So the point is, most 99.999% of people will never have all the assets. And that's you and me. And so then the question isn't, am I going to get beat by some things that I don't have? You will. That's a fact. Yes, there's no wriggling out of that. In a card game where you can't have everything, you're going to lose to assets you don't have. Period. That's not the follow-up question is, do you let that ruin your experience? Or do you say, well, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on one card, right? I'm not going to spend 1.3 million DC on Heloise the Hollow. I'm not going to spend, how about, pretty much maybe 800,000 DC on, I just showed you Tofu. This is the other piece, right? It's like, whether it's Heloise the Hollow or whether it's cards like Tofu, which I just showed you has a 72% win record on one example and probably 70 plus on average. Are you going to come in and spend today? You could spend $600. Is that a good deal? Because Heloise the Hollow is double that. And it's one card, it's a monster, not a summoner. So maybe Eternal Tofu is a smoking deal of this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not buying this one either. I'm saying there's tons of assets, even to me, like by most people's perspective, I'm a whale in this space and they're just things I'm not going to get. And I'm okay with that. And actually, when you start to be okay with that, it transforms how your posture in the process. I'm okay not having everything. I want to have everything, but I know I don't need everything. And I can still win pretty like a solid, I win over half my games. And yet I don't have everything. I don't have, on this screen, I don't have Tofu and I don't have Cryptic. Those are pretty meaningful. And then from the monsters on the Rebellion side, from legendaries, I don't have max level. I have like a level 1 demise. I don't have a Solace. I don't have a Barrage. I don't have a Baron Fiat. I don't have Endura. I don't have Commander Goff. I don't have Kai. I don't have Warborn. I don't have the assets I don't have are more. It's a larger list than the ones I do, and I'm a pretty big player in this game. Like I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of cards, and so we just have to I guess what I'm trying to do is out of this conversation around Holoi's and whether or not they're using it, and just the topic even coming up, I guess I wanted to have this conversation about how do we approach the fact that we are going to lose to certain assets we cannot ever have? Because that's the truth. Is that game breaking to you, or is that just, well, that was the one battle that I can't beat, but I'm going to play 22 other battles today, and I'm going to win half of them anyways, and I'm going to have fun with that process. Like if we shoot hoops and you kick my ass, I can still have fun playing basketball. I got exercise. I had time outside with with a friend. Maybe probably we're chatting, right? There's incidental benefits and joys that can be had along the way, even while you lose. And not everybody holds that opinion. So I think that to me is the bigger conversation around Holoi's the Hollow. But I do want to, I kind of sidestepped a spicy conversation, and I want to come back to it quickly. I won't spend too much time on this because I don't have anything to add. The comment was, I wonder if they have a bot, and the bot hasn't updated its data on how meaningful Holoi's is. That could be true. We don't have any reason to believe that, or we don't have. Rather, I'm going to be as specific and as accurate as I can speak here. We don't have any evidence to draw that conclusion, except that they don't use it as much as you think they should. And it's fair to say there are other reasons why they might not use it. Not just because it's one card on that's playable on two different splinters, but also because even if they're a human, they have an algorithm in their mind, right? You have certain patterns of play that you utilize and rely on to win in Splinterlands. We're talking, especially with Housewife, top of the top within the Modern League. I think she was third in the Modern League. And so every match matters. I don't believe that those players in the top 10 are ever kind of saying to themselves, what should I play in this rule set? It's almost always, this rule set means I play blank. And that's a human. That's just a human who knows the game. And that happens to you and me too, probably not as frequently, but there are certain rule sets that you can point to where you always do X. Magic only, maybe you always do Thaddeus. Magic only, maybe you always do Immortalis. If Immortalis is available, Immortalis. If Immortalis is not available, Thaddeus. If Thaddeus is not available, maybe it's Kalia because you want the speed advantage and you're going to use phase with your main tank. I'm forgetting it now. Chaos Legion, main tank, magic, legendary. But my point is, you have certain plays of your pattern that you will always rely on, you keep coming back to, because you've played enough that you're not gonna go into a magic only rule set and be confused. In that rule set, I probably should play like a certain team. And the same is true with newer people, right? Oh, it's a reward card, that's why. Getting confused. Oceanus is the one I was trying to remember. It's got phase at the, phase and void is such an enforced meal. What a great combination. So those were three examples in one context. And I think the best of the best players have every rule set and every circumstance thought through. And yes, that might sound vast, like there's crazy number of circumstances. Sure. But generally speaking, if magic is excluded, then I'm going to be focusing on these splinters. If melee is excluded, I'm going to be focusing on these splinters. And I would argue, for instance, like if tofu is available, looks like you're throwing that one in there. And I'm seeing a lot of times Holoi's the Hollow gets dropped with tofu, with Venka, both of them at the same time. And so I can't say I think you're wrong. I definitely don't think you're right. Like, I don't have any opinion on that except to say there's other reasons that could be explaining the same thing. I think it's worth asking that question. It's kind of fun to think about, but I don't know Housewife, and I think there's other reasons we could explain that away with. But thank you for the comment for sure. Yeah, to me, the bigger question with respect to Hello Always the Hollow is just the attitude that we've brought, the community has brought, to whether OP cards, whether power creep breaks Splinterlands or not. Because power creep exists, it has to. If new cards were worse than old cards, would we buy them? I don't know. I do argue that some amount of power creep is probably justifiable and logical and necessary. Some. And I do believe and agree you could get that wrong. But then even if a new card is too powerful, like broken, let's say, the issue that the team, or the approach the team has implemented thus far, and I hope they stay to, is not to nerf, but rather to bring out counters. And so, yeah, I think some counters that I could imagine just off the top of my head would be more protect, more repair, more shield, more triage, more, because all of those things would create the resiliency that lets you weather that storm. Because the Hello Always the Hollow, the Achilles heel to it is it burns itself out. Yes, it can burn through your entire team. Totally. Again, awesome card. But the vulnerability of that is it's not going to be there in round 10. If you somehow survive the full frontal assault of all of those spike attacks, then you will win, because that major player will disappear. That's how I see it losing. That's when it loses. It doesn't execute. It just hurts. And if you can out resilient, like your resiliency is greater, that's how you can win with it. But even still, of course, it's a good card. The argument is not, therefore it sucks. It's probably a 60-70% winner. And yet I'm not buying one. I'm not spending $1,300 on one. DC 850 Splintoshi, so we're even up from where we were. But if we go 1.3 million DEC times 0.850, we're at $1,100 US. Now I know some people have bought them for a little cheaper, so let's go there. Let's call it 105. I think nope, that's wrong. There we go. A few have sold in this price brace too, so let's go there. 0.00085. So that's $900 US. I'm okay with saying I'm not getting it, and that doesn't ruin the game to me. There's one more thing I wanted to say on that. I mentioned briefly about Mantaroth and Grimbarden Smith and Tofu. If we want to talk about, if we want to acknowledge that certain cards are powerful, and maybe that they, like this didn't start yesterday. That's I guess a piece that I'm speaking to here. Yeah, power cards are amazing. Oceanus was, when it was first released, and while it was still scarce because it wasn't always so prolific, it was amazing. And it still is amazing. It's just the difference is everyone can get one because it's cheap. And I think that's sometimes what people want. They want the amazing card, but they want it for really cheap. And then they can get it and they can play with it and they can counter to it, they can mirror it, etc. I just don't share that frustration, because I understand that high value cards are a good thing for the marketing of our game. They're also a good thing because they give whales places to spend money. It's also a fine thing if I end up losing to it. You just have to be okay with that. I'm still carrying a greater than 500 win record. I don't have Tofu. I don't have Venka. I don't have, right? On and on and on. So that might be a bit of a hot take. I bet some of you will disagree with me and feel like, yeah, but you don't get it. Like Venka's, Hello Always is too broken. And it really represents the game's, the team's failure in card design. And this is the beginning of a slippery slope, and this will ruin the game. I do hear that tone in some people's comments on this issue. So for the last 20 minutes, I've been trying to push back. I hope that's where you see where that's coming from, because I think, yeah, enough said. Gathering says, wonder if I should pull all my DEC off land to buy SPS with it. I can always get more DEC around the same price, but will I always be able to get SPS for the same price in the near future? Yeah, man. This is always a tough question. I had a friend yesterday reach out to me and say, should I sell all my SPS and buy validator notes? And it's interesting to think through like ownership of validator nodes. And if you believe in Splinterlands long term, I think validator nodes are a really wise hold. But man, SPS, and I spent 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of this video talking about how you shouldn't be looking for green candles over the next day or week, right? You shouldn't hold anything for days, weeks, months. You should have a perspective across many years or a long time horizon. And yet, I think we could be looking at something special with SPS in the short term. And I think most of you would agree. Like, this is pretty exciting already. We pointed to, I think it was August. Yeah, it was August where the SPS price chart was, let's go 1 year. August was where it was in this low there. 0.4 of a penny. 464 is so pretty close to half a penny. So, you know, right now we're a little bit better than double from August until November. August, September, October, November. And November is, I wouldn't call that half over yet. So we're talking 4 months. In 4 months' time, it's doubled. And this chart looks strong. Like the way that this is building on itself, and it's gone up and down. It's gone up and down. It's built support levels for itself. Volume is beginning to tweak up. You can see a bit of the, like, I don't know how closely you can see it, but the volume charts are higher over here, higher over here, higher over here, and there's practically no volume in here except for this one strange day, which I don't know what that's about. And then over here, there is a discernible line, which is and it's more consistent than it was even 30 days ago. People are buying it. And so does that mean that I would do what Gathering just said? Like maybe it makes sense to go ahead and pull DEC and sell it. Man, if you can make those calls and you do them at the right moment, you can change your financial future. That's the crazy thing. You are gambling though, right? Let's call a spade. You're gambling that the time is now. It's going to happen. Imminent moon mission. Sell everything, buy SPS. And I've been in that place before with other tokens, and that move has burnt me. Like I sell asset 1 for asset 2, and then asset 1 pumps. And then asset 2 tanks. Like it's conceivable that SPS, you would buy it at 966 and it drops to 866 in the same time that DEC moves from 800 Splintoshis to 1,000. It's possible. And so you can't time these things. And so frankly, the only thing to do, in my opinion, is just to buy and hold and wait and acquire more. And you had a vision with respect to your land, and you thought, I'm going to get them up and running. I'm going to get the DEC in there. I'm going to be ready. And you spent many hours making that happen, and now it's ready. And now you're thinking, well, maybe the grass is greener. But the truth is, grass is rarely greener. And also the truth is, you can never really time markets. It's possible you make that move and this thing goes to 4 cents and you're just laughing. But it's also possible it doesn't happen. And in the meantime, you would be unwinding value in your land, and you'd be losing profitability over there, and you'd be, creating much more work for yourself. And, and by the way, another thing that's even maybe more likely, let's say you got $1,000 in DEC locked up in land. That's kind of close to where I'm at. If I was to make that move you're talking about, I start that process. I make it happen. I get all the DC ready. And by, 3 days from now, this doubles. Like, not saying it's going to, but just imagine that sort of thing happens. Because when you're thinking about those moves, others are thinking it too. That's the sentiment of the moment talking. And so SPS starts getting bought up. It doubles in price over the next week. And by then you go, oh no, it took me too long. And you still do it. You're like, now it's happening. And you buy it at 2 cents, not 1 cent. And then what happens? We retrace to 1 cent because that's super normal. Actually, that's not even a bear market thing. That's like a total. If we went to 2 cents tomorrow, falling back down to 1 penny over the next week would make a lot of sense. And yet you do, and then you're like, oh, did I make the mistake? Because you bought it 2 cents now, and you watch it bleed to 1, and you go, oh, I screwed up. And then you panic out of SPS and back into DEC because I don't want to miss this all. And people get washing machined. Like, you buy high and you sell low. And that doesn't mean you would, gathering. It's just, that is such a common story. And it's happened to me personally at times in my past. And so personally, I wouldn't even consider that sort of move. And I said to my friend who was looking at the validator nodes, if you're about validator nodes across the next 10 years, if you believe that is actually going to be, that this game's going to thrive and that this ecosystem will be here and that those nodes are going to pay out SPS in a reliable way, and you'd rather have more hands off than sort of, you're not into playing side of it, maybe, because SPS is so valuable from the play plus the stake plus the earn, right? So if that's not if you're here just for profitability and long-term income, maybe. But frankly, this moment right now, you've packed your SPS bag. I think just sit with what you got and enjoy what you get. I think we're going to see a bull market move, and we're going to enjoy candles that are exciting and going to blow you away. And the part of you may, gathering, and I'm talking to my other friend too, may actually regret not doing what you just thought. Because maybe the nodes really go up in price as SPS moons, or maybe you could have timed it perfectly to watch SPS go from 9/10 of a penny to 9 cents or something crazy, and you're gonna go, I wish I did it. Sure, but you have to also remember this moment. Let's say the opposite happens and we go from 9/10 of a penny to 8/10 of a penny in the next 2 weeks. You have to also remember, I didn't do it and that it turned out good. Because we as people, you will remember the ways you didn't get green candles, but you have to also remember how you didn't get red candles. Like, you won't. That's the thing. It's the same with criticism. I dropped my kid off today. She made donuts for her whole class. Her and her best buddy came over and they spent 4 or 5 hours yesterday making these amazing donuts that are decorated beautifully. And I know that today she's going to bring them in and give them to the whole class, and some little jerk's going to say, oh, these are gross, or I don't like it, or I don't want it, or it looks ugly, or why is it that color, or whatever. Some random mean comment. And there might be 20 kids in that class that say, thanks, Hazel, these are amazing, you're awesome. But that one person with that one word of negativity can really ruin her experience. And the same is true with us with investment, where if you miss green candles, if you don't do the trade you just said, selling all DC to buy all SPS, and then SPS pumps, you beat yourself up. But if you don't do it today and it goes red, and meaning the trade you avoided was a saving, it was a good thing you avoided it, you have to also be like, okay, I made the right choice. We don't do that. We don't celebrate the victories or the dodging of danger. We just celebrate our actual realized green candles, and we suffer in our unrealized gains, which is not sustainable. It's not a good way to have a healthy head about investment. Aftersound showed a few teams that beat it, meaning hello is the hollow. Need to kill it last. Oh, kill it last. Scattershot. What else could you do there? Killing it last even to kill it in the middle of the pack would be better, wouldn't it? That's a good. I haven't thought about this angle. Thanks, Gathering. If you kill Hello is the Hollow in the middle of the pack, you reduce the number of soul siphons it can do, and therefore the number of spites it can do. For sure, you're right. That's a clever way to think about it. I want to see the. I'm gonna look up my thing. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay. Where's the stat? I want to see it again. There it is. Let's pull that up. Okay. It's such a crazy card. This is bananas. Of course it's awesome. But yeah, if you could contrive a situation where it is last killed. So one way that I imagine that is through scattershot, which means you're going to avoid the taunt. And another way I imagine that would be plausible would be not focusing on magic or archery unless it's scattershot, but rather and avoiding opportunity. So you're not using sneak, you're not using opportunity, you're not using archery or magic unless it's scattershot. So you'd be using scattershot, range, and magic, and you'd be using a full frontal assault, like a main tank and a secondary tank with reach, neither of which have opportunity, and therefore they aren't going to strike into the third or fourth spot to hit the Hello is the Hollow at all. They will ignore the taunt because they can't reach the taunt, and that would be a victory, or that would be a path to victory, because you would then delete your opponent's main tank, and then you'd focus on their reach tank, and you'd be erasing options to proc the spite and the. Meanwhile, she'd be attacking at 8 with the opportunity, and that's significant. Even for 9 mana, that if that is all you got was a big opportunity monster, that's significant. But what if you yourself use the taunt monster to hold that in place and bring it to a place where you can sort of greatly resist it? Taunts with shield, taunts with repair, taunts with armor, taunts with, dodge and flight. That would be one way to really just sidestep it and nerf a lot of its power. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I hadn't thought about that at all. And secondly, again, sometimes we look at things like this and we go, sky is falling. It's so powerful. This represents power creep. The game is falling apart. The game designers are screwed. They're messing with the... and it's like Chicken Little stuff. And you're right. That's an amazing example. Just go ahead and ignore it. It would take a certain approach, though. You'd have to almost know. You'd have to know they have it. And you'd have to see that they use it. And if they're using it 7 out of 10 matches, you're going to see it 2 or 3 times out of the last 5. 7 out of 10 is a number I'm drawing, because if it's that good, like if it's as good as Tofu and it wins 7 out of 10 times, they're going to play it 7 out of 10 times or 8 out of 10 times, and you're going to see it 4 out of the last 5 matches or 3 out of the last 5 matches, knowing that they have it, and you're going to understand that the mana cap that you're facing off in allows for them to play it, and they have a green or a black team with which to play it. But I always see it played with Tofu. I've never not seen it played with Tofu. Just for the record. And then so you're going to know that they could play it, and you're going to expect that they will play it, and then you go ahead and do one of these things: scattershot with range and no opportunity sneak, because then you're going to just full frontal assault and avoid the spite and the soul siphon. I want more cards, land, tokens, but all I can do is play every day, get what I can, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, that's it. And I know that this sounds like... I know that what I'm about to say sounds obvious, but most people will not live this way. You are not going to get all the gains you want. You're just going to get the gains... Somebody says it like this: you're not going to win in all the ways you want, you're just going to win in all the ways you deserve. And in investing, the perspective there, or the application there, would be like, you don't have every SPS that you actually want. I want 1 million SPS. I have 350,000 or something like that now. I want 1 million. And then I want to have 1 million for my play, and I want to sell another million. Like I want to watch the green candles come and I want to liquidate 1 million SPS. I'm at nowhere near that, right? And so I've built this story. I've built my bag. This is my bag that I put together over the last course of months and years. I sold SPS at times where I maybe shouldn't have. I bought SPS at times I shouldn't have. And in hindsight, if I could have nailed those calls, I'd be better off. But the truth is I made the best call I could in the moment I was able. And now I'm here with what I've got. And so I have two choices. I either, at this moment, FOMO in, which is usually not a good idea because you can't time markets. And it's out of a place of greed, not real planning and thoughtfulness. Or I just say, well, I've done what I was able. And now I'm going to see where that goes. And that I built the bag that I've got. And I felt comfortable at the time I was building it to put that money in and not more money and not sell more and to accumulate what I've got. And I'm doing better than probably most. Like there's probably 1,000 people in the game that have more than me, something like that. So I am in a strong position, and we each need to give ourselves that kudos. You're in this strong position. There are people in a better position, but you who have been here for the bear market have accumulated some while others didn't. You have got sold on reward cards that others didn't. You have won SPS that was free and given to you that others didn't. There's ways and things we need to hold on to and celebrate, which will then give you a different posture when the candles do go green, when the moon mission happens, where you can say, maybe I didn't retire, but we actually probably have a path to like significant financial return if the altcoin market is going to touch us, and I think we agree it will. So, but yeah, it's so crazy how the thing that seems crazy to me is that one could enjoy a bull market and yet feel disappointed by how little you gained. That's the posture of a broken heart, where it's like you actually are so fixated on wanting more that you can't be satisfied with what you get. And so if I have 300,000 SPS and I'm able to liquidate 100,000, and let's say it goes to $1, which is, I don't really think it's going to go to $1 this season, but just to give numbers, that would be a crazy financial return. That's 100,000 US dollars in that example. Again, I don't think it's going to do that this season, but just to give a number, that would be crazy. 100,000 US dollars from a video game. That would be crazy. And the right response would be, wow, that blew me away. That's amazing. That's life-changing. But I bet 9 out of 10 people would experience that situation, and actually their primary thought would, I knew I should have bought more. I knew I should have bought more. I knew I should have played more often. I knew I should have spent time on grinding and getting energy. I knew I shouldn't have used that bot, which took 20% of my SPS at the end of every season. This approach to view, like gratitude, optimism versus, always wishing you had more, is it's literally, it ruins lives. And I'm convinced of that. And I think it applies to this investment strategy within this game that we love. So I thought I'd bring that up. Because, gathering's right. I want more cards. I want more land. I want more tokens. But all I can do is do what I did and what I'm doing. I can't do more. I could mortgage my house and put all that money in crypto and just YOLO. That's stupid. That is not founded on, that's founded on greed and avarice. You've got more and I don't want you to have more. But my approach, the only thing I can do is just keep on trudging one step in front of another, and we'll see where this brings me. And then be so glad when I am able to sell. And one last note on that is, if you're blessed by the opportunity to sell something in this bull market, try to remember that once you sell it, that's profit, that's gain, that's a victory. Don't let that victory or that gain be twisted or ruined or undermined by any future gains you didn't see. So if SPS goes to 5 cents and you sell, that's a 5x from now, and it's like a 10x from where it was. Celebrate that 10x. Don't get upset if it goes from 5 cents to 10 cents. Or if it even goes from 5 cents to 50 cents, don't beat yourself up that you missed some of the green candle. Just celebrate what you did get, and that posture will serve you better. You're going to have a totally different perspective, because getting caught in that, like, oh, I missed it, will cause you to then circle back in, chase the green candles, and lose big. That's my experience. Anyways. Leandro, 10 years ago, I thought about buying Bitcoin. I didn't because I was too lazy to learn how. This hurts my soul. See, I get you, Leandro, and I feel that sometimes too. And I do like your kind of the joking tone with the, you know, like you're being real, and you're also, you know, I'm sure this hasn't ruined your life. You see that you missed an opportunity, and me too. I remember my buddy telling me about Bitcoin when it was $300, which I think is like 2015 or something like that. So yeah, 9 years ago, maybe even $100, somewhere in that range. And I was like, okay, it's like what, like internet money? Okay, not interested. But then in 2008, when everything fell apart with the American economy and with the global economy, I started paying attention. Like I started recognizing that economic systems were messed, and that government monetary policies were broken, and that inflation was going to cause limited assets that are limited in nature to go up in price. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. I classify them in that realm. And generally speaking, that was the beginning of something that started. And then I went down the rabbit hole. You know what? I've been listening to Aftersound talk about his Bitcoin maxi approach and how he just, yeah, same. Like I just started hearing, really studying this stuff. And I think, ultimately you probably did too, Leandro, where you get to that place where you're like, I want to hear all those smartest people on this issue. Like, what are they saying and why? Why is it special? You know, how do we know there's only 21 million, or that there'll only ever be 21 million? How do we know that it's reliable and that the blockchain can't be hacked? Because those are questions that people always think. It's like, well, if it's just zeros and ones, why doesn't somebody steal it from you? It's like, dude, actually that's like literally never happened. And there's trillions of dollars in there. And if it could happen, it would happen, but it can't. And so it doesn't. And so, yeah, man, you know, every one of us has that same idea. If we're here, invest in crypto. There was a moment you heard about it before you bit, that if you bit, you'd be in a better position now financially. But then also, you're here now, and so many aren't. And that's that same conversation we just had, where it's like, you know, you could beat yourself up for not buying at $100 Bitcoin, but maybe you bought it at 1,000. You could beat yourself up for, I bought at 3,000. That's when I actually put my money in. I took all my money and put it in. But then guess what I did? I didn't hold Bitcoin. I didn't sit on it. I kind of traded with it, and I learned the hard way that dollar cost averaging and just hold is the play. Quit trying to be the hero who wins all the money by trading like you get any of this. At least I'm talking to myself now. I don't know. You guys might get charts and analysis and all that. I don't, and I failed at trying. And so I don't. I just buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold. And yeah. But yeah, I feel some of that too. Wilson, thanks for coming by. Bolts, good to see you. Appreciate you coming by. Have you seen the new episode of the People's Guild with Blaze? I actually watched the first half an hour this morning. And I will finish it today. Blaze is a friend of mine, and I really enjoy his passion. That's what I saw in the first half an hour or whatever. He was talking about his own history and his own drive. And if you guys don't know, Blaze KOS or Blaze Koss is the person representing Splinterlands within the sort of advertising. And he's a recent addition to the team. He's also a Time and Attention Guild member. He's an amazing guy. Big crypto head. Been here way back in the day, and gets gaming and has had like a ton of history in that. Go listen to the People's Guild conversation with him. I really, really enjoyed hearing his whole backstory with respect to, you know, everything from like, you know, seeking after financial opportunities even as a kid. That's admirable. And so Blaze, if you see this, buddy, I appreciate you. You're amazing. Excited to see the next, the level up that's possible for Splinterlands with, you know, your vision, your passion, driving that. People's Guild. Hey, Jangles, good to see you. Did somebody say FOMO? Yes, man. And great conversation. You and Hep leading the great conversation again. Always, you guys everyone here knows you, but one thing I always say about the People's Guild is the conversation you guys bring out. You always sound deeply interested in the conversation that you're having. You always sound, and you might not always be, but the point is that there was like a deep and sincere received or perceived interest in who you're speaking to. And so I think to me, that's like the recipe for success, because it's so fun to hear you explore topics with every conversation because of that, because you seem interested. There's a real curiosity, and it leads to good questions. And Hep's amazing too. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Bolts, I noticed that the one thing we all have in common is that we love trading, flipping, and the way Splinterlands is set up is perfect. Yeah, I agree. There's something, this game has actually got me really interested. I have a friend who has an eBay shop. Like his whole full-time career is buy things cheap, resell them for more. He's a reseller. And there's a whole YouTube, this is like a phenomenon on YouTube. Like if you want to go Google reseller, you'll see people going into Walmart finding these crazy sales, or people going into garage sales, or people going to, buy storage units, or, whatever. Because people buy furniture, they redo it, they renovate it, and they flip it. There is so much value available in the world if you are a person who recognizes value where others don't. That's the thing. There is value in something that is the value of a thing is not the price tag. The price tag of a thing is what you have to pay for it, but the value is what you get when you pay for it. And that is true in Splinterlands. That is true in real estate. That is true in the stock market. That is true in life. And there is so much value being thrown away in the world that it is literally possible to make a full-time career. In fact, to be very successful at going to garage sales and buying things people want to get rid of and then flipping that for value, or coming into a game like Splinterlands and buying cards, NFTs, like pieces of data that have a utility in a video game, and then reselling them to others within the space. There are stories like that. I've walked that path in Splinterlands. I'm trying to, again, I've recently bought some cards, and I'm looking for a flip. And I'll post some content on that when I successfully sell it. I'm confident I'm going to be making like a 30 to 50% price increase on a flip I did recently, and might take 2 to 4 more weeks, I bet, but we'll get there. And so, yeah, we love that, and that's the game within the game of Splinterlands, because I love that phrase, because this is not just an auto brawler. Splinterlands is a game of managing economy, and that is absolutely integral. You cannot be good at Splinterlands if you don't know how to maximize your efficiency with your dollar in this space. How much SPS do you need? Don't get too much, because then you won't have enough money for the cards. How many cards and which editions do you need? Don't get too much, because you won't have enough for SPS. And on and on and on. And it's like modern versus wild. Well, those are different considerations and different paths and different reward paths. This tournament or that tournament, well, maybe I can get better rewards from certain tournaments that are old, which means that maybe I want wild cards, but then I have to play in the wild league and not the modern league. Which one of those makes more sense and why? Thinking that all through is complicated and difficult, and most people can't do it, but those who can do it will have an opportunity and a pathway for success in this video game revolution. And I'm not just talking about Splinterlands, I'm talking about all blockchain-based video games that essentially pull on that thread. Because the idea isn't just, hey, are you good at video games? The idea is, are you good at understanding the impact? It's really understanding economics, which most people think is boring, but I love economics, man. Understanding economics is like understanding the world, because it's like, who was it that said this? Very famous person. I can picture his face. I can't picture his name right now. He talked about how even a pencil is a complicated creation. If like you understood, like no one can make a pencil. Pencils are like a creation that are so complicated, and they require like the world, because rubber comes from someplace and wood comes from someplace and that metal comes from someplace and the graphite comes from someplace and different places with different access, and that's economics. That's how the world works. That's like undergirding. And then, does the thing sell? Yes or no? It won't if it's priced too high, and therefore that restriction imposes where can those assets come from, and who has to handle them, and how do they get processed. And so that's a pencil. That's the story of a pencil, and yet that matters because it actually speaks to the broader issue of like anything. Where do you get your beef from? Where do you why is there value in an NFT within a blockchain-based video game? At the underlying question is, what is its value? And in some part, that is a conversation that is deeply complex, and only certain minds can kind of get around it. That is both one of the most exciting things about Splinterlands, that reality, that the economics is part of the game, but it's also one of maybe the greatest, let's say, hurdles that our game faces. Because some people don't want to play a complex thought game like that this is. I have friends who are interested in Splinterlands, but their approach is, how do I do it with hands off? How do I turn it on and make it earn money? That's not what this is, really, right? It's like, if you are actively involved, like guys like Gathering or Bolts clearly is, then you're gonna see a different return than if you are not. That's the game within the game, and if you're not here for that, then you're probably not going to enjoy the fullness of what it is. Howdy, People's Guild. Hi, folks. Sleep this at 2 a.m. in Asia here. Nice to stumble upon a stream with this slot. Appreciate you, pal. Bolt says, "What's up?" Taco Tuesday, nice, dude. I would kill for a taco right now. I might even go get tacos. I have time this afternoon. Oh, I have time. Thank you, Jesus. Honestly, guys, the last few weeks have been so crazy intense. There have been tears of anger and tears of disappointment and tears of frustration. There's been, I'm losing my mind at times. Like this is I'm talking with my new child, Gregory. He's amazing. I love him. He's amazing. He's so awesome. He's my son. I believe God gave him to me. But it is so difficult. That little boy tries to push me away and not let me in, and hurt me mentally and emotionally. He tries to, because he wants to see if I'll still keep loving him. And it is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. I have 2 other children, and one of my children has a terminal illness. And that was hard in its own way, and my first daughter was hard in its own way, but this little boy is hard in a massive way that's just grinding me down. And here's another thing I'll get on my I'll tell you about, that is all the ways I see him struggling. Like he's a very proud boy. He's proud. He doesn't want to admit he's wrong. He doesn't want to be corrected. And I am so like that. And it's like I'm looking at a little mirror and I go, all the ways you're broken, I'm broken. I am you. Even now, and I'm a grown man, I should have my stuff together, but I don't. And so it's been such a crazy season. But I have time today, and I might have to go take some of this. I might have to go and just take a moment and go for a little Taco Tuesday, because you're right, Bolts. I love tacos, and there's a joint around here that does these amazing fish tacos. I could see myself hitting that up. I should have ordered them yesterday. I was there yesterday. I should have got them yesterday, but I'm gonna do something like that for myself, because yeah, man, just trying to enjoy it. And Gregory is off having fun with his fellow preschool kiddos. So I got some time. Gathering says, my 10% strategy has worked so far for me. Don't sell it all when it goes up. Just buy, sell a little bit on dips and pumps. Yeah, I forget the details of of that gathering, but I do remember you explaining that previously. It's like on 5% gains, you sell 1% or something, and on 5% dips, you buy 1% or something like that. Yeah, seems very thoughtful. You know, anything, my approach is going to be different with SPS, and I could tell you about it. I don't have it fully hammered out, but I could give you kind of a generalized approach for what I'm going to do. But the thing is, you each need to think through what you are going to do. Don't ask what Gathering's going to do, or don't try and follow him, or don't try and follow me. Just do what you think makes sense. For instance, one example. Do you think SPS is going to go to 5 cents or 50 cents? Those two predictions radically transform how you're going to handle your exit strategy. Do you think Splinterlands is going to be here in 2 years, or is it going to be here in 20 years? Those two answers are going to radically transform your approach to SPS. So you actually need to come to this fundamental confidence and foundationary understanding of what you believe this is, so that you can properly plan an exit strategy. And let's say you think it's going to go to 50 cents SPS, but it only goes to 5 and it falls back down to 4 or 3 or 2 really quickly, because that's usually what happens when it goes straight. When it eventually goes into sort of where its bull market will end, it doesn't sit there for 10 weeks. It goes, touches it, and falls down. And it can be minutes. And so let's say you're expecting 50 cents and it goes to 5 cents, and then you go, it immediately falls down to 4. Are you going to say, well, that's it, and maybe I'll sell for 4? Or are you going to say, no, that's the beginning of it, and then it goes down to 2, and you go, crap, did I miss it? And it goes down to 1, and you go, oh. Are you going to then panic sell for whatever you can, or are you going to just say, well, I think I missed it, and I'm just going to wait 4 more years? Because that would be my approach. I have my predictions and my expectations, and if they don't get realized, I'm not selling. That's what I'm saying. That's a bit of that foundation for me. I'm so confident with the long-term perspective of what this is. I'm not desperate to sell into this bull market. If certain targets are realized, I would sell some, and some of that might be as low as 10 cents, not to liquidate into value, but probably to reallocate within the ecosystem. 50 cents, if that was possible, I would realize some gains, because that would be meaningful, man. That could be really meaningful. You know, I could have $100,000 in my hands if we get to those numbers. That would change my life. And so I don't really believe that's going to happen. Not this time. But I don't give it a 0% chance of happening. Is that a 5% chance? Maybe, which is crazy. But you need to think through that for yourself, because you're going to have those different answers to those questions. Is this game going to be here in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20? Is SPS going to go to 5 cents or 50 cents this season? Is it going to, do you want to play this game after the bull market, or are you going to just sell everything? All of that needs to be thought through now, not in 3 weeks when the green candles are coming. Now. So get on your horse and figure that stuff out, guys. Yeah, Jengos, you're awesome. Appreciate you. Now I'm going to FOMO into pencils. Dude, you need to get your graphite mine investments or ETFs happening. Making fajitas for lunch. Love it. Oh man, 12. That fear of abandonment is so hard, brother. Hang in there. Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I take it as. And if some of you don't know this, we just adopted a 4-year-old son. It's been 4 months now, and I've taken time off with him. So I'm spending almost every day with him, and I'm spending lots of time with him, and I'm pouring into him. Today, I woke up at 5:30 with him. I sang to him for 15 minutes. I read to him for another 15 minutes. I made him breakfast. I played with him. I talked to him. At one point I had to say, I'm not interested in something that you're trying to show me, but I did so in as respectful a way as I possibly could. I got on my knees and I said, hey buddy, I know you want to share that thing with me. I just want you to know, I see that you love that toy, but daddy doesn't like that toy. I don't need to look at that. And so what I'm saying is for like an hour, I kind of poured into this little guy. And yet by 61 minutes into the day, he was just saying the meanest stuff he could possibly say to me. And it's out of that place of this little guy had his whole world torn upside down. Even though I'm generally, not always, I'm generally sweet and tender and patient. Sometimes I'm not. But I'm generally loving and patient for him. He had the only women and men that he ever knew just leave his life, right? He had a foster family that cared for him and loved him. They're just gone. And that's actually probably long-term for the best, which is a complicated thing because like if they were still in his life, it would create these mixed emotions. Like, I want to go back with you, or this whole thing is difficult, and it will be for years to come, I think. But I'm pot committed. That's my son. I would die for that little guy, and I'm gonna figure this out. And by the way, like this is helping me too. Like I said, it's like a mirror to my own space for growth. And so maybe I have fear of abandonment, and maybe that's why it's hard too. But anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and thanks for your kind words, Jingles. What a lucky kid to have landed with such a great family. Thanks, man. Times would feel, if I'm confident, not everybody believes in God, but I do. And I believe that God is sovereign. That word means that he's over all things. And it doesn't mean he makes every choice for us. That's a complicated conversation. I won't go down too far down that rabbit hole. I'll just say God's sovereignty is something I believe in. And that tells me that God, before all time, he knew that Gregory would be my son. And so I don't think of it as like he's just some kid we adopted. He is my son. He's not even adopted. He was always supposed to be my son. And he's got some challenges he's going to work through. But so do I, and so do you. And we're going to do our best today, and then our best tomorrow, and we're going to keep going. He's testing your love. Yeah. Keep showing up the way you are. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. I need to do an update by 10. Okay. So your gatherings approach is buy 10% on 10% dips and sell 10% on 10% pumps. If you want to make like a slight, if you want to grow your book, you should change it slightly where it's like buy 10% on 10% dips, sell 5% on 10% pumps, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, just if you retweak that formula, you would be the approach would be a growth of tokenage. It'd be a DCA with this generalized approach towards playing the market in a clever way. And I would say that is like not even a profit taking approach. It's actually a approach around. It's an approach around growing your bag. Unless we go to, like, let's say we go, even if we go to like some ludicrous number, $20, every 10% is never going to lead you to zero, right? If you have 1,000 tokens and you sell 10% when it goes up 10%, you're going to sell 100 tokens. And then you have 900 tokens and you're going to sell 90 tokens, and you have 800 or 810 tokens and you're going to sell. So 10% just keeps shrinking and so your exit, you're never really going to go to zero. You're always just going to shrink and shrink and shrink, which is clever. That's smart. That's why I'm still holding my XRP. Good day though. Abso-friggin-lutely, show enough. Dude, I'm assuming you're mentioning XRP because you know where I'm at. That's one of them. It's not my biggest bag. Splinterlands is my biggest bag, but XRP is, I have believed in this thing forever. And I know people think it's the banker's coin and it's centralized, and there's so much that people don't know about XRP, and a lot of what they think they know is wrong. I would say though that there, in my mind, there's greater clarity around this token than there is around any other token in terms of the SEC and government regulation and actual utility. And this candle is very exciting. Last night this pumped. I went to bed at 61 cents, And look what happened last night. Okay, where was it? I went to bed right around here. Somewhere in here. 60 cents. I go to bed, I wake up, and we touch 70. And we fell all the way back down to 62. And then in the last few hours, just go, no, we're going to go ahead and push right through that. That's exciting, guys, right there. To be at 69.47 and punch through 70, but then to double back. So this is a double tap at the 70 level. And we're now, this is a ascending wedge, I think that's called. So I know a little bit about charting, and look at this volume, it's just pumping. On the, let's say if we zoom out on the 7-day, look at that volume. It's still significant. On the 30-day, that volume is crazy. 90-day. Yeah. So it even stands out on a 90-day. On the 1 year, our volume is like comparable to like some of the best volume, from March 2024. This is a meaningful moment for XRP. This is a meaningful moment for the altcoin market. And this is what I've been expecting for a long time. Ooh, TRX. I don't hold any of this, but I have a close friend who has a gigantic bag of this stuff. And this is it's been at 16 cents for so long. And good for him. Good for him. Good for him. Oh, Hive's above 20 too. Oh, guys, this is so exciting. This is great. So yeah, I'm about that XRP, and that's one I do have a sort of a very particular exit strategy on. And again, as you're implying, Shonaf, if that exit strategy isn't reached, meaning those targets are not attained, I will hold that thing. I will hold it for another 4 years, because unless something fundamentally changes about that allowed me to have confidence, I don't have to rethink that. My plans to long-term hold only change when something fundamentally changes about it. So I would stop holding Splinterlands related assets if I thought fundamentally something had broke about the game. I would stop holding XRP if I thought something fundamentally broke about how it works, or who's using it, or how it's not being used. Alex says he's starting to sell. I'm selling 10% at 3.3% per month till December. I'm wondering if you're talking about SPS, Alex. Starting January, I'm selling 5% per month. All crypto or certain tokens? Yeah, Gathering is asking the same question. Okay, crypto. Good. I'm projected to make 500K to $1 million. Whoa, good for you, brother. Good for you. Toro's got the big bags. To be honest, it's gonna be closer to 500,000. Good for you, man. And that's crazy awesome, right? This is one of those moments that we could pull back to the prior conversation. Let's say you could get $1 million, and you start thinking, oh, I'm gonna get $1 million. I'm gonna get $1 million, and it ends up being 500,000. There's a part of us that would be disappointed. Every one of us. But we have to kill that piece, because that's like the liar or the broken part. That's the place of our the worst part of us. Because if we can't get $500,000 and be like, let's go, something's wrong, right? And even the joys of life can be ruined by being more concerned about what you didn't have. I think I've shared the story before, but I really like this imagery. I have more than one kid. If I put ice cream in front of them, if I say, hey guys, who wants ice cream? Those kids are going to go, yeah, me. And then I put a bowl of ice cream in front of them, and one of those bowls of ice cream is bigger. What do you think's going to happen? He has more than me. Not fair. And then probably tears. And even so much so where they're not going to be able to enjoy what ice cream they get. Like, they've got a scoop, but not 2 scoops. They aren't going to enjoy, they'll eat it, but they're going to have this frown, and the shoulders are slumped. I'm not imagining this. I'm telling you about the specific thing that has happened. This is not a speculation. This is a fact about how greed ruins your victory. And so I don't hear Toro saying this, but I'm just like, again, imagine if if you were expecting $1 million, you only got 500, and you were like, oh, only $500,000. Dude, good for you. Killing it. You've set yourself up. You built your bag. You planned. You've got a strategy, and you've made your bed, and you're going to enjoy that, right? Good for you, brother. Sell 5% on 10% homes. Yeah. So a general upward trend is what Gathering's talking about. Okay. Is the game up and still down? I really want to pull up some video. I want to pull up some battles. That's really too bad. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun day, 2 days. You know, it won't be green the whole way, too. That's why approaches like Gathering and Alex make sense. It's like, it's not going to be, not every day will be a green day, even while the bull market is unfolding. If Bitcoin is going to go to 200,000 or something, there will be days where it comes down 10 or 20 or 30% in one day. And that's possible. And it's historically happened. And yet we can still see greater ups. That'll be true not just of Bitcoin, but of ETH. And I use Bitcoin as an example because that's the one you think would have the greatest stability, being the biggest coin with the biggest market cap. And even yet, it has these crazy fluctuations. If we go if I zoomed in on, like, how long did that take? The tip right here, 68,000. And like, was it the next day? 64,000. Or how about, what day is that? November 10th and December 4th. We're down 30%. Or how about this? December 2nd, December 4th. That one candle, or that, I think it might be 2 days. No, it's a 24-hour window. 24-hour window went from 57,000 to 47,000. And it's conceivable that those moments happen right before a big gain. Like in this window, this span of time, we moved from 50,000 down to 30,000 and back up to 67,000. That's crazy. And this isn't like many years. This is June to November. So, I mean, across, you know, planning something for like the next 90 days makes a lot of sense. But just being okay with, on any given day, there could be a red candle or a green candle, and I'm just going to be okay with that. If I end up, yeah, it's so important to get this stuff right. It's more about mindset than it is about a plan. Because once you make your plan, you need to commit to it. If you start calling audibles in the middle of the plan, that's usually not thought through. It's usually a choice that you're making because of some FOMO or something like that. You know what I mean? M. Thompson, good to see you, pal. Gathering, or I mean, yeah, how's your Golem Overlord account going? Actually pretty decent. I'll quickly show you. So, you know what I need? Okay. I need to pump up my... I need to keep growing my... I need to get my prestige level up. I haven't been focusing on that lately. This is my prestige level, right? Yes. Reputation. Okay. I'm going to dump some money in there. I'm getting about... I get about between 1,500 and 2,500 part per claim. And I claim twice a day. And so maybe I get 4,000 part a day. And then I don't really know how many shards I get, to be honest, but it seems like every few days I sell 1,000 or something like that. Maybe once a week I sell 1,000. Maybe I get 100 a day or something like that. I don't know. I need to, dang, I spent too much on my reputation and I didn't do any on my scavenger golems. I'm still in here every day, twice a day, as best I can. Some days I only come in once, but I try to avoid that because if I come in once, then the scavenge golems, whatever I earn through them, will not, it doesn't get held. Someone will beat me up and take it from me. My protection, my fortification is getting, I've been focusing on that more recently. I brought this from like 280 to 330 in the last several months. And I used to be really focused on power. I've been moving away from that because generally speaking, I can, this is a good amount of power right now for me. I think I'd need more power, more fortification, and more scavenger golems. At least that's my current strategy. I was for weeks and weeks, I didn't do anything with rep prestige, and that was an oversight. That's a thing you really want to do all the time. This game captures my attention every day. And I know it's not exciting. I know it's not like, first person shooter or this like thoughtful, it's not as thoughtful as Splinterlands, but it captures my attention for a period of time every single day. And it is paying me something too. My data, I've unreliably tracked the earnings from this. I do track it, but sometimes I forget or I get busy. But yeah, I get about 4,000 part a day. If we went to the, that's a few hive. If we come in here, let's go part. If I was to, for instance, right now at this sell 4,000 part, he wants to buy 5,000. If I sold 4,000 part, I would get 3.1 hive. 3.1 hive is today's market value, like 61 cents, 62 cents. No, I guess it's about 63 cents US dollars, like per day, 60 cents a day. And that's not including my shards. My shards are, like I said, I maybe get 100 shards a day. If I was to just market value, sell the 100 shards, another 90 cents, $1 maybe. So on average per day, I'm probably earning $1.60 from Golem Overlord every single day. And I don't claim it every day because you actually can't the way it's designed, but I regularly do. I have, except for like a 2 or 3 month window where I just didn't do any gaming, including Splinterlands, was like I just couldn't keep up. I'm in there all the time, and I don't mess around with any of the extra things though. I know there's a lot of like changes and there's all these different things that have been introduced. I know nothing about them, and I probably should learn. But the question is like, where do I get that time? I was doing my rewards. I was doing like my missions. I was doing all kinds of things. I'm just coming in. I'm a part farm. I make $1.60 a day, and I'd like to do that as long as I can. Yeah. I got a message actually. What's that other game called? Immortal Creed. Immortal Creed sent out a message to me because they have my email address, and there's big rewards coming up, or they're doing like a thing. This is a game I used to play too, and I spent a couple $100 on assets within this game. Lately, I've been catching up to and finishing all my responsibilities in Splinterlands, and I might start just going ahead and playing this again because I do enjoy it. But again, time is limited; can't do it all. Toro's got some feelings about the interview today. Didn't love the conversation with Blaze. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I mean, first of all, Blaze is a friend, so I mean, I guess anything I would say is probably not going to convince Alex. But I would just say that, on any content where you're going to host a guest, there's going to be certain. Oh, mute this. On any content like Joe Rogan, like the biggest podcast in the world, the guy has guests who you're not going to enjoy, and the truth is, that's necessary. There's no way to avoid that. You can have the conversation that I saw with Blaze this morning. I only watched the first half an hour so far, but I really enjoyed it, and others agree. And so I think you might be in a minority on that one, Alex, but that's the beauty of the fact that there's multiple episodes. The real thing to take out of that is, Jangles, you got to do more episodes with more interviews so that people like Toro can, if they want to just go ahead and skip, they can't keep up with you. 7 episodes a week. That's what we need. Daily People's Guild. That's what we're calling for. That's what I hear Toro saying. Okay, guys, getting hungry, and it's been almost 2 hours, so I'm going to drop off. But thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope you're having an amazing day, and just, man, these green candles. Let's have some fun these next couple of weeks, but also make your plans, figure out what you're doing with Splinterlands and everything else, and then just follow that plan, and you'll be happier that you did. Don't think about it don't think about it don't plan how you're going to land the moon mission during the moon mission, right? Think it through before you even take off. Okay, guys, have an amazing day. God bless.